will. You know what, Milos? I think I will take your advice, and I will, in fact, have fun for Ollie and I's first game inside of the SAL. Up until just a few months ago, this would have been a mixed region game, but since the combination, we have the Brazilian Titans and Furia going against the majority Argentinian, and certainly ancestrally Argentinian squad of 9Z. Ollie, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Looking forward to getting stuck into some Siege. Hopefully we see a slightly different brand to the Siege that we see in NA. I know that I think we're maybe both ready for a little bit of a mix-up, bit of a change. Get out to...
Throw 5 more M80 OXGs at me. I'm ready. I'm limber and ready to go.
You know what? I'm good. I think I would much rather sit back in my chair, enjoy a wonderful Saturday. The sun is shining. It's a nice temperature, and I can just sit here and engross myself in some SAL.
Good word. Good SAT word. You don't take those, but that would have fit. That would have fit right in on the SAT.
Fun fact: we do actually take SATs. We just call them SATs. Yeah, you take them when you're in primary school.
Okay, well, we take those in high school. I think they're
probably the same thing, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. No need to disrespect the American education system that bad. I turned out fine, so you're okay. As you can see, the map is Bank. As Fox mentioned, this used to be an old Furia favorite. They were 14-4 on it up until Stage 2 of last year, since early 2023. Then it kind of slowly started falling out of their map pool. It got a bit more of a mixed record on it, but that's not because they stopped being open to playing it. It was left open as an option multiple times at SI. It's been the decider in many series they've been in. This is a map that they have stopped playing as much. It's not a map that I imagine they've stopped practicing or being comfortable on as much. So KZ taking control of CEO quite quickly. Herd's the same thing. Obviously, they also played it earlier in this stage against NIP, though they did lose it 7-5. Map that they are very, very well.
Just to give a nod to the bans that we've had for the first portion of this game. There's Army and a Castle, both of which hold incredible value here on Bank. And then a Hibana and a Monty this time. Typically, in NA at least, we've seen a lot of pressure on those hard breach bans and double hard breach bans. But in this instance, 9Z opting to remove one of the hard breaches, the queen of those hatches, and of course the Monty. So we'll see how that fares for them. Obviously, with the 2 architects banned, it is difficult to hold on into open area. And as such, it's quite a heavy time denial lineup that 9Z are going for, which honestly, at this point in the round, doesn't look too bad. They've had a bit of presence up in open, but they've not fought for it with any sort of conviction. Instead, they're really looking to lean into those 2 C4s, 3 Toxic Babe canisters, and plenty of Shumika launchers.
It's almost hyperbolic to the extent to which they have brought time denial. Like, even the Mira, to a certain extent, you place it on that server wall, so it's more difficult to hard breach. And obviously, well, as you can see, even though Ace and Thermite are left up, neither have been brought by Furia. It's only those hard breach charges, so they want to go for an execute on that side. It could be a bit difficult. You still have to worry about the Shumikas, the Vulcan packs, everything Ollie said. So when you still have a minute 20 seconds for Furia to move, all that utility in their way, you're feeling really worried. But I think that's why we see Furia instead rotating to the backside. Nate has the diffuser. He's dropped in the elevator. He is trapped, but it shows that Furia are looking to put this case down on the complete opposite side of what you would otherwise expect. One angle given up to Nade. KZ follows up with the next. Advantage solidly for Furia, especially as Will and Zhao both go down on the floor. Tuku stuck in gold for the 1v4. All those toxic canisters thrown on the side that Furia opted not to go early on. That'll be all she wrote for the first. Furia seemed to bait a little pressure over to the server side and then all drop down marble and elevator.
You're going to make the server side difficult. You've got to be ready for that back elevator drop. You can't just expect a team like Furia to sit and go, oh, what do we do in server now? There's been a mirror window placed on it and it's popped. We can't breach it. I wonder what we should do. Let's just... No, they're not going to waste any time. They get that information and boom, immediately we see Nade dropping the elevator hatch. He picks up a couple of nice kills. Fair play to him. One of the downsides, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are big sort of Tachanka haters when we start talking about time denial, Goyo and Smoke are far more popular and, in my opinion, far more effective. Tachanka got downed there with 15 Shumikas still in his pocket. He's used, what, 5? Not very many. And you start to think and wonder how valuable that really was. as it stands, you're going up against a very well-oiled attacking side in FURIA. We know this team has that synergy, regardless of whatever form they are currently in. 9Z have certainly paid the price for that. Not interested in going back downstairs, instead going to try their hand on this top floor, which, due to the bans, is made a little bit more tricky. No Azami, no Castle, means that there's going to be a lot of really long lines of sight that are going to be available for these attackers.
And also 9Z opting to ban the Monty instead of the Ace means the attack actually has an option to open up the Kanto walls. We see the Hibana Ace ban so often, and obviously it has its impacts on the server. But when both those ranged breachers get banned, it makes the CEO site a lot stronger for the defenders, because no spot to repel and put an exothermic or a can opener on the wall, so not much you can really do. But now, obviously, as you can see, JV92 will bring those Selma charges left up, and not only are Furia's bans obviously having an impact, but 9Z deviating from what I would call the normal setup has given Furia more attacking options, but Herds, I think, thinks there's a gap that is completely non-existent as Nitro turns around and decapitates him outside of Janitor.
A gap that started to get very narrow very quickly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Difficult to see the true vision behind that, especially when there's a clash knocking around. A quick rush into sight on the Ash is not really what we're looking for. Especially given how much there is to burn through, Ash's utility would have been very valuable indeed. KZ, looking for something from below, just waiting for a bit more drone information to come in, knows that there's a mirror window and is going to remove any ability from a player to be able to stand behind that without giving away that he's there. Now, KZ, of course, can't watch that angle for the entire round, but it provides enough pressure to remove players from that mirror window inside a Janitor, and it should free up the repels and the people that maybe are looking to repel into CEO a little bit more. But nice pocket mirror window there getting placed. Nitro just going to give himself another option, but it ain't going to last long if that skeleton key's below.
Ooh. Easy firing a lot of shots. I do like that pressure from below. Kind of makes you wish maybe Herds would have waited a little bit. Obviously, maybe he thought he had better information than he did, but you see the combination with KZ down below. That would have been a great time for Herds to maybe then swing around the corner, take a fight against the Mira, but that'll just be KZ applying that pressure. Really tussling with Nitro in this position for almost feels like half the round at this point. Furia have been stuck in this 4v5 for a long time now. Just trying to find an angle through which they can take the fight to these 9Z defenders. This clash has been staring at JV for almost 2 minutes. He'll push forward. 3v4 now, an advantage almost established for Furia. 3v3 despite the odds. They were stuck at the door. 9Z had basically kept them trapped at the gates, and all of a sudden, it's Furia advantage. Slim, but advantage nonetheless. Joe taking the long angle fight, and he loses it. 9Z were better for almost 2.5 minutes, and Furia do Furia things, being some of the best mechanical players in the world, and win around that, frankly, they probably should not have.
I was getting a little bit worried when you saw KZ watching that vert angle for realistically a minute. And you start thinking, what are the other players of Furia doing? Well, they were setting themselves up to try and pinch that clash. It was a brilliant pinch. We had a player coming up those main stairs. Not entirely sure how the players of 9Z inside of meeting let that player just walk up the main stairs, because that's really what they should be watching. They've not really got anything else to watch at that point. Sure, you're getting held from below, but if you're getting held from below and there's not much you can do about it, then watch something else. He's not going to get you. So a bit of a head scratcher there from 9Z in terms of what were they actually watching. And I kind of just feel like Furia were just allowed to sort of walk in. KZ obviously doing a great job below. Great pinch onto the clash. They'd gathered their information. They knew where these players were going to be. And, I mean, it's top floor. There's only so many places that you're going to be able to hide. It's not coming down to denial. It's not coming down to plants. It's not really coming down to anything of that nature. And despite losing the opening pick, Furia walk away with the round and make things look fairly straightforward. Round number 3, sticking to a rotation now. 9Z are going to be taking us into that open area, and this should force them to play a little bit more of the map. And we can maybe see a bit of that intention with some of the ops that have picked. We've got the Femriel, we've got the Legion. There is an option there to play a little bit looser upstairs and to drop back.
I think you probably have to give some individual credit to KZ as well, who obviously, if you did watch the W7M game yesterday, not only was it a fantastic game for both teams, all 10 individual players, but KZ was the top-rated player, 154 EPS, 18 and 9. Had a massive 1v3 in church that we showed at the top of the show on the desk. He's been having a very, very solid league overall so far, but very, very solid weekend. So as you just saw in that last round, if you want anybody to try and help FURIA claw back a 4v5, it would be KZ. And if you want him on any operator, Doke would be a very good bet. You can see anybody on FURIA usually pick up these calls, pick up this SMG-12. But getting KZ activated will be quite nice as he's moving in from ATMs and FURIA setting up on the CEO windows. Now looking towards these defenders with the drone on one of them, in fact. Clear them out, get an advantage on this roam clear. Try and stop 9Z from getting anything of the sort. Nitro rotating across will dodge all that utility. Air jab will knock the Malusi down inside a janitor. Full committal from 9Z on this roam as the Legion starts crawling up. Nitro takes him off guard, hops out the window, 2! Hip fire onto Nade. Tuku getting the 3rd. KZ's lurk on front side nullified entirely. Fellapox will get 1, but that's just icing on a very, very poor tasting cake.
Already, even with a minute left, it feels like a bit of an exit frag. The diffuser cold on the ground outside. Nitro even managing to ping that after he'd gotten the kill. Hip fire as well, by the way, on the second guy on Rebel. Not easy to aim down sights and jump and all that sort of stuff nowadays in Siege, so not really got too many options. But JV92 and Felipox, they need to try and whittle these down. Looks like JV's got a bit of info here. He's going to find one. He catches an overzealous player. He may grab another, but with the clash, this is just going to be extremely difficult. There's no way that FURIA should be able to take this win right now. Clash should just be able to gather all the info and crossfires hopefully established.
Oh, but nice little lurk by... No way. JV in sight. He's got to be careful. He smokes the clash. Hello? And right around the corner! Hello, 2v4 from FURIA, 3 in a row. I guess I know what kind of game we're getting today.
It's like being back in NA.
It's like I'm watching M80 Oshi again. Or wherever you go. There you are.
I mean, there's no real reason you should be losing a 4 versus 2. I think the first guy getting taken out in tellers is understandable. Because maybe as the defenders, you're still waiting for a little bit of info. Maybe you don't know where they're going to be coming from. You've got a clash. You've got a massive man advantage. Fair play. But that's a bit of a tilter. And I don't think that the timeout is going to be for anything other than that. That is a round that 9Z should have had up on the board. FURIA did a great job in the first 2, don't get me wrong. There's nothing really that you could criticize. And they were in a great position from top through bottom in the round. Now, round number 3, you've kind of got to look at that and go, we can't be affording to give those rounds away, guys. We need to be getting ourselves a little bit tighter than that. Give JV92 a chance, and he will pull off a miracle. And I'm not saying that the previous round was a miracle, but it's the kind of stuff that you see when a team is very dominant and obviously feeling themselves on the day.
And if you do want to talk about the last 2 rounds that we saw, it was obviously 3 in a row for FURIA, but CEO, Nitro gets the opening pick onto Herds. KZ3K with, as you said, a well-coordinated marble push, but when you have that 5v4 and the attack is just forced to either walk into angles that the defense could be holding or into positions that the defense is holding, you should be able to trade that down unless there is a 1v1 somewhere and a little bit of a gap and a little bit of space for FURIA to operate. In the next round, JV gets that kill, but it's a JV92 double kill overall and a Fellapox 3K. It's 2 multi-frags, 3 if you want to lower the floor and count JV's double, and to big individual performances to put FURIA over the line. 2 rounds where they lost the opening duel. Sure, that's kind of the FURIA factor, right? That's what you're signing up for when you play a game against them. With one of the best rosters ever assembled in the history of the game, you're going to lose rounds like that. But unfortunately, you still got to be ready for it, and in a round like round 3, Ollie, let's be generous, act of God. You know, it happens. But you look at round 2, that didn't feel like an act of God. That did feel like more of a 9Z failing, and 2-1 feels a whole lot different than 3-0.
For as good as FURIA are, don't forget, they're very beatable this stage. It's not like they are massively outperforming. There's only one player in the top 10, and it's KZ. So you don't really look at them and think that they are this, you know, unstoppable force anymore. In the entire league standings, they're currently 6 with 7 points.
3 wins, 2 of them OT.
They've dropped rounds. They've dropped games. It's not looking like the FURIA that we know from, you know, previous real dominant runs through SIs and majors. But they're kind of looking like that today, and I think it's maybe just the quality of the opponent. 9Z really needing to step things up here as we move into round 4. It's going to be a basement defense again. They have got a little bit more pressure in that mid floor, and as we can see from the operators, they've opted away from some of that denial. They've dropped the Tachanka. They've brought instead a Valkyrie, a bit more information, another C4, and the Mozzie. What that's done, we'll see.
You know what's funny, though? I almost kind of wish they had stuck with it. Because if you go back to that round, all of that denial forced FURIA to rotate to the backside, and what was opening things up? Nade pre-aiming an angle and people pushing down marble stairs, but FURIA had to push into them and win gunfights. Now that you're extending further out, holding on to more control, you've actually reopened the server execute as a viable option, and it just seems like we won't even get there! What the hell is that?! 2 on the AR, and he whips out the revolver for the third? No server execute necessary. Nate can just sit back and do goddamn nothing. A flawless for FURIA coming out of the timeout. And round 3 was a chalker. Round 4 is boomed.
Looks like the timeout was good for FURIA as well. They managed to have a bit of a conversation about how they were going to take this game even quicker. 9Z really struggling for options. They attempted a little bit more of a roam to try and give FURIA some problems. And as you mentioned, Lynx, it maybe would have been better if they had just turtled onto the site again and bought themselves a little bit more time. I mean, you think about where Nade dropped in round 1, just fire the Shumikas into Elevate. You don't even need to get a good angle on that. You can bounce them in.
Do you know when Nade got that kill on a Nitro? There were 28 seconds left in the round. 28 seconds when Nade gets that 5v4. Obviously, I know they won. I get why they're hesitant to retry that strat. But if you've just seen that FURIA are looking really sharp mechanically and are winning fights when they shouldn't, why would you then do a very individual roam with not a lot of utility when Castle and Azami are banned against a team that is really feeling themselves mechanically? You're giving them more gunfights to win.
Yeah, I'd be trying to take as few gunfights as possible. If I was in 90's shoes right now, I would be doing everything I could to bring Util to just give me the most advantage. Well, it looks like they are sticking with somewhat of a gunfight strat, as we do have Naza on the Scopos. They're going to be trying to have a little bit of a roam and, I mean, waste some time, shoot a few drones, teleport back to site, maybe?
I can get
But with the way that we saw FURIA roam clear that last round, I just don't see it happening. Their information game is top-notch.
I mean, maybe that's why he brought the Scopos. He knows that if he actually tries to rotate back, he'll die. So he's like, if I can instantly teleport back, they can't shoot, what are they going to do? Hack into the net and headshot me? Disrupt the connection? Well, they could if they find the other Scopos, to be fair, but... trying to make it work, I suppose. I do agree with your point, though. That early round intel already seemed pretty good, but in round 4 it looked excellent. So, sorry, like CEO, I suppose not a whole lot of roaming you can do. Joe will find a very nice kill, deal a very first death to JV92. Not the first time that FURIA have lost the opening duel in this map, of course, but on this site specifically. That still didn't stop them from winning the round, but hopefully we'll see round 5, a shift in fortune for 9C.
The first time we're seeing FURIA bring in the Ying, back when they played this map at the start of the stage, Ying was a bit of a mainstay, shall we say, in their attacks against NIP. Maybe just waiting for that second round of banning to ensure that it goes through and to kind of play a bit of a baiting game. The ROU projectors, they're going to get sent out as well, but Naza is in a good position right now on the Scopos. If he isn't known about, could be dealt with. Looks like the mute jammers are causing quite a bit of trouble inside a site as well, and not sure they've got any secondary EMPs to really deal with that. Oh, Herd's narrowly dodging out of the Nitro cell, but he's going to have to commit to site.
He's got to commit to site. Joe, Nitro, both with some nice kills. Naza with a good flank. If that's what we're going to see the aggression be like for these last 2 defenses, I can certainly get behind that. That's not sitting and waiting for FURIA to push you. That's being sneaky. That's being crafty. That's dodging the intel. It's only coming 5 rounds into the game, but a win is a win, and I liked how it looked.
It's a shame 9Z have taken until round 5 to heat up, because if we could have started this game, like, restart it now with 9Z 1 up, and like, yeah, that's a great round. They've just, you know, they've finessed FURIA. Brilliant flank. FURIA had no idea that somebody was out there, or if they did, they weren't choosing to deal with it. It was great information on the site. Those mute jammers did a fantastic job denying the drones, making the ROU projectors a bit more difficult. Furia didn't really have too many answers there. And as such, it just sort of turned into a bit of a sight rush, and there was not really much time to do anything else. They had to kind of commit to plan A and just deal with the blows as they happened in the post plant. Still chance for a 2-4 split.
Think so?
Of course. Well, I mean, there's chance in that there's a round left.
Oh, that's true.
How it works out on this side, I don't know. We have seen Furia go with the old Rorador strat for this, as well as we've seen quite a lot over in NA and in other regions. We haven't seen them play Rora once so far in their attacks, and as they lock in their picks for the final attacking round in regulation, we ain't going to see it here either. Tempted for a little cheeky spawn peek, but you're not going to catch these guys out that easily.
Certainly, probably will not. Flank in the map. You can probably catch that. You just saw on that Scopos, but you want to go for a spawn peek? I don't see it. That's why he backs off. It's fine, just for the early intel. Seems like we might be in for the Ying setting up on printer window. Blitz about to sprint in through this door and in through the cafe double. Got the Blackbeard as well to provide some frontline support, create the space for Fellapox. Never mind, Fellapox sprinting in turn. Blinded by the Candelas, but you don't need to do that. KZ checking the right angle, and nobody's there. Nobody actually inside of cafe at the moment, as it seems. Aside from that Yokai, Fellapox is generally clear to put this case down, but the Yokai can buy him time. Stuns him on that defuse twice. Allows Naza to push up. Fellapox got to fall off. Got to take the gun. Got to win that fight, and he loses it. Herds picked back up. Down in the frost mat, hopping in that window. Tuku shuts everything down on the backside. Couple rounds, Furia won. We're close. And even though it's up 4-0, those last two from 9Z look good to secure a 2-4 half.
9Z going into the second half with some hell of momentum right now. That was a bold play from Furia. And I don't think they knew about the Echo. Had they known, I would imagine that Philippox would have done a bit of a better job of clearing the ceiling beforehand, or at least getting it on a drone and having a look to see where that Yokai drone was, because the Yokai drone was kind of the undoing. As soon as the call for the Yokai drone comes, Blackbeard can no longer start looking for bodies, and he needs to start looking for the Yokai drone. And that's exactly when 9Z choose to push, taking advantage of the chaos of the situation and picking up 2 rounds. I said there was a chance. There is always a chance if there's a round, Links. That's all you need.
True. And I mean, what? Basically 2 flawless rounds in a row? Sure, maybe you like lose one right at the end, but effectively speaking, really delayed on that tactical timeout's impact, but start out with a 5v4, basically perfectly repel Furia's assault. Not a bad trade. Not a bad trade at all. And now as Furia rotates sides, this is the worst one they had against NIP in their game earlier on in the stage. It's a 3 attacking split on the back half of the game, but Furia only picking up 2 defenses on the first half. Maybe if you've done some VOD review, you could see gaps in this lineup. NIP certainly did on Locker CCTV in particular. I think Furia, by and large, are basically sticking to the same lineup they actually ran against NIP, except for the introduction of an Azami on KZ. But when you got the Goyos, the Tachankas, the Zotos, and the smoke canisters, it's not even necessarily a Furia lineup. This is just a classic on server that we even saw 9Z ran at the beginning of this game.
I like the Vulcan packs.
I do too.
On the hatches upstairs.
I think it's interesting.
Oh, it's, I mean, deny the time wherever you like. It still denies the same amount of time, doesn't it? You know,
Yeah.
It's what are you going to do about it? You haven't got Hibana. You can't. You know, you're forced into bringing the Maverick, and as soon as it pops, as soon as the hatch pops, the Vulcan pack's going to pop. So I think it's a good idea.
I think KZ actually just got burned by a Vulcan pack that got popped.
Ooh, maybe a Twitch.
I was gonna say, I think a Twitch.
Yeah, if he was in a camera or something.
I was gonna say, I think a Twitch might have popped it, and because you can usually tell based on how like the rhythm with which the health like gets whittled down. It seemed like a Vulcan pack, and with how good KZ has been, you do not want that player softened. You do not want that player looking worse for wear. Herds is gonna be likely all or nothing. I mean, he's probably gonna lose all that health in an instant if he goes down. and he's likely going to meet a lot of pressure playing on blue stairs. Though, when you look at it, as you don't exactly have a lot of tools to deal with him. You're not placing those cluster charges on that staircase. You use the flashes, use the bees, but that shotgun is going to be a lethal weapon if you're not careful.
I wouldn't put anything past Will right now. He is a man of culture. Playing the fuse shield. Getting it done. Do love a little bit of fuse shield action.
Ooh.
Zoto canisters from Felipox desperately trying but unable to stop that from getting opened. It looks as though Will is going to go for the server hatch as well. Hertz has dropped off. He didn't really have anything supporting him. He didn't have any Jaegers, didn't have any magnets, nothing of that nature, so it really was just an aggro position on the off chance, just in case. And now his value is far greater in the site with those 3 Toxic Babe canisters, because they're going to do a heck of a lot of the heavy lifting. Fortunately for the FURIA side, there isn't too much that can be thrown into sight that's going to do any harm, but there's plenty that's going to block lines of sight. Got those ROU projectors going in. We've got a couple of smokes. The first kill going to come in as Herds falls on that smoke. With all these ROUs going in, it's only a matter of time until a drop.
KZ's trying his best to stave it off. Player sitting on the hatch. He's crossing right under. Losing that smoke is brutal, but KZ will try to find a way to make it happen. Make it difficult for that player up top. Really nice Kiba. Burning key seconds for Nitro to take that line. Delaying this plant by just a little bit. Felipox has him lined up, but only one, not the second. Naza tries to push deep, but Nate holding the line, holding it firmly within his grasp. And from the back, Nate and JV92 bounce forth, ricochet into the attacking lineup, and take their first right at the margin.
It's kind of the big difference between the way that we saw FURIA attack that site in round number 1 and the way that we've just seen 9Z attack it there in round number 7. There was no pressure, no attention on that backside. I'm not even entirely sure if the hatches got opened. Even if the hatches are opened and you don't drop it, it just gives the defenders something to think about, and the likelihood of seeing a player tucked deep next to that elevator hatch playing behind a deployable shield, it's slim to none at that point. You're taking a big gamble as that defender because someone could just drop and get you before you've even had a chance to react. 9Z just going for a fairly one-dimensional approach, and I commented, you know, they didn't have anything that was going to cause sufficient chaos. Sure, you've got sense and a couple of ROU projectors. Sure, you've got smokes, but you need something a little bit more. Ying, Capitao, both of which are banned, of course, so that's why it's making it a little bit more difficult for them. Maybe some Grimbees. That could be a good thing. Get a bit of information. Looks like we are going to hit a rehost right now, as we did have a player just drop out, unfortunately, in the early stages of that round. We're only in the prep phase, so we can, of course, remake. Obviously, I don't think the players can talk to each other during this time, but we will get everybody back into the lobby as quickly as we can.
We can talk to each other. That's the important part. That's what matters.
That is all that matters.
You know, quick side note, I always put my rings on for these broadcasts, but you can't see my hands, so I don't really know why I do it.
It might just make you feel better.
It does
It's
make
like
me feel good.
It's like putting aftershave on.
That's a good
I
point.
always spray a little bit of I like deodorant and aftershave. I only have aftershave if I'm going out of the house, but for a broadcast I'll put it on.
Want to know something funny? I don't think a single day in my entire life I have ever used aftershave.
But okay, so like a fragrance then.
No. I smell
really?
great.
Oh, okay. You're one of those people.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, I put on deodorant, I shampoo, you know. I smell good, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not an aftershave. I'm not axing it. I put the rings back on, by the way. You sold me on it. I think it is a vibes thing.
It's a vibe check.
It is a vibe check. Vibes seem perfectly chill in the FURIA camp, and can't really blame them. Won the first defense up 5-2, won 2 rounds that arguably, you know, maybe you shouldn't have. With 9Z set up with their opening advantage, but you're not going to complain about it, especially after that excellent win over W7M yesterday. Coming out of today, not with the full 6 points. Obviously, OT, they only got 2 yesterday, but 5, when they're right on that line, Ollie, right at 6, widening that gap between you, ENX, and 9Z, the team you're playing right now, will be quite nice. Obviously, as you want to look at the standings, W7M, the team they beat, is still in first. Definitely one of the top 4 in Brazil right now. Them, FaZe, W7M, and kind of, you know, whoever wants to be in that 4th spot. Right now, it's Black Dragons and NIP. But I do want to say something, because I know people might look at these standings and think, what the hell? Furia at 6th? FaZe at 9th? Guys, you would not believe the kinds of things I have seen in the group stage of Brazil that FaZe and Furia will do. Sometimes, especially Furia, they will just lose their mind briefly, but then you get to playoffs and it all starts making sense real quick. Like, that's where FaZe gets crazy. That's where Furia get crazy. I mean, they never win Brazil, but, you know, they still get crazy.
It's the same. I don't know what it is about this sort of area, this region. Obviously, it was very different back in the day when I was casting this region because it was strictly Brazil. Not 1995, not quite, but it was Brazilian teams, and then we'd have the Copa Elite Six.
Oh, yeah,
that's where then you'd bring in the teams from South America and Mexico and all, and then you would get the sort of interregional or the semi-interregional stuff.
Yes.
But you would literally cast a whole stage of NIP losing every single game. All the games being very narrow or whatever. They scrape by in like a 6th place. Then they play the most amount of games in the Copa Elite Six to then win the whole thing. And it was frustrating to watch because you knew that they could, but they just didn't. And I don't know what it is. It feels similar. You know what I mean? It feels similar. We've watched a couple of great rounds from Fury in this bank game alone, and you think they would beat most teams in the world with that attack on that map, hands down. And yet they can lose 2 rounds at the end of their attacking phase to plays that you're just thinking and looking like, surely they knew, right? Surely they knew there was an echo.
Well, and that trend continues to this day. With the addition of the LCQ, it just got even more comical. You have the Montreal Major, or you have stage 2, where Liquid look. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Somehow not as bad as they look right now. I'm sorry, Liquid. Also, unfortunate for DS. I love him. Shout out, we miss you, DS. My NA boy. Liquid somehow looking worse than they did then, but Liquid were still not looking very good, and then somehow make Miracle Run and qualify for Montreal. Then you go to Manchester. Pretty much like the same thing. Or maybe that was actually stage 1 of 2024. Maybe that was Manchester. Either way, you have like a last place run to LCQ to main stage at Manchester. Then, previous stage, Los looked terrible. Like literally the worst team in Brazil, grand final of Atlanta. It's just like, okay. Sure.
Why not?
Final of that LCQ was literally the worst 2 teams. It was Los versus Netshoes Miners. Like they were literally in the 2 groups. They were the 2 last place teams, and they were both in the finals of the LCQ. Anyway, all that to say, Brazil has and always will be a chaotic region, and that's why we love it. Because they also produced arguably 2 of the best teams ever to play the game.
I can't believe that this is the first time that I'm going to be able to say this, given that we've casted together for, 3 play days now?
Something like that.
Who can?
10 seconds left before insertion.
What?
Who can?
5 seconds left.
I don't understand what's going on.
Cap can.
Oh! I was like, I don't understand. What am I?
I thought you were gonna come. I thought you knew the bit.
No, I don't know the bit. I saw Tuku. I was like, okay, if you're gonna make like a toucan joke, that's not his name. I was like, that's just not his name. I was really scared where they was going. Cap can. Cap indeed can.
Get a little bit of the old Cap can in here. We love that from Herds.
I haven't seen much Cap can actually this stage.
It's because he's got barbed wire now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Herds has even got one in pocket. That's how much he loves it.
Yeah, I don't think he's picked it for the barbed wire. I'm gonna be honest with you.
This is Herds' spot, though. Literally, the funny part about this, what side is it? Open area? He plays this spot. Okay, what is going on? Oh my lord. Okay, it's a 4v3. Had a little double entry, Blackbeard Grim into stock. That did not end well. Joe has found Hertz in CEO, though. So actually, somehow, in that long angle, this is now worked out. Tuku, oh, I love that cutoff. That's my favorite of the round. Catches one more, walking right into the net down marble stairs. We get bored of bank. You hate watching these slow server takes. Well, how about I give you a 1v3 in the first minute and 15. 1v2 in the first minute and 15. Aid. Well, I'm not going to get anything. Tuku on for 3 in that round, all sitting inside of Archives. Ollie, what the hell just happened?
I love how he was in his shock drone like a second before getting that kill. Like, you've literally got teammates dead. Like, what are you doing? Like, surely you know where this last guy is at this point.
Got on the shock drone. He's like, oh, crack, 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 crack.
He's like, which button is it again? Just smash and escape.
Spilled the Dr. Pepper on the keyboard in the process.
Oh, other fizzy drinks are available. So, super quick round from 9Z. Really looking to take some early pressure. They knew that there was going to be a roam game from FURIA. They didn't know everything about it because obviously we saw the Capcom walked into. So we didn't know that there was an EDD on that particular door from Will. But what they did know was that there was a good and decent enough off-site presence and an opportunity to not only deal with that, but to hop in at site. Realistically, 9Z just won a lot of gunfights there. They tried that double entry. It didn't work, but immediately they were able to get back with a kill. And I think that little pressure that was being put through Tellers at the same time. If you think about some of the entry points, we've got an entry through main lobby into Tellers. We've got an entry through stock. We've got somebody on the rappel upstairs. Again, everybody just working really effectively to try and pinch and corral these players. You've got the top floor guys dealing with the top floor. You've got the bottom guy in Tellers, exactly as you said, waiting for those cut-offs. He knows the defenders are going to use main stairs because there's no other option. Like, are they going to go all the way down lobby? Probably not. Could be somebody on the lobby rappel. So, a really good and effective clear from 9Z. My only worry is, can they make it happen again? Because already this game is turning, it's turning quite scrappy. It's turning a little bit individual.
And even if they end up making this really, really close, because of those couple miracle rounds Fury got earlier, is it going to matter? Will it end up being a 12-round barn burner, but Fury wins 7-5? Because I'll just, in six minutes across this game, they were just a little built different. Had a little bit of the secret sauce and not much to do. Snipe that drone out of the air. JV92 makes his own rotate to get the hell out of Dodge. CEO defense, as you can see, Castle not banned by 9Z. Azami also not banned. So operators completely unavailable to 9Z on this site will both be available to Furia as they create a fortress for themselves on this top floor. Velopox taking the standard angle close on these windows. See Ashen play this all the time in NA. Try to find the angle. Try to get aggressive. Try to take somebody out when they are feeling comfortable and safe.
Tuku trying to displace the clash, but Nade, knowing better, he just has to take a few steps forward, get out of the range of that nade. Polar opposites in terms of what's available for both these teams right now. You can see his army buying some time there for Leapox. Able to plug up a couple of those gaps and keep himself alive. He's taking about half damage for that. The longer he can stay alive here, the better. Getting shocked. Breach opening right next to him. Not a great place to be right now, Azami or not, but he has to try and stop the pressure coming in from these windows. It is critical to the rest of his team surviving right now. You've got Zhao over on that main lobby. It's an angle that could be found, but eventually gets taken out on that vert.
Really good reaction by 9Z. I'm pretty sure the Selma actually got shot on the left side, but they still know he's there, so they rotate Tuku down just to decimate the floorboards. It shows that 9Z, despite them being, obviously, you know, not a full Brazilian team from a more inexperienced region, they really are putting the pieces together quite well, but if KZ hits that shot, that's just the perfect counter-argument. You might be actually thinking, well, but we are landing shots. But right now it's Tuku. 3K in the previous round, a 417 menace at the moment. 5 in a row, all with that weapon, all watching the flank, and all onto Furia defenders that think they can get away with crazy plays like that. KZ's been quick peeking that for ages, and Joe just calls his bluff. Nade might swing and find one, but 9Z still have the advantage. Slow push from Tuku, that shield being a real problem, but JV92 not fully aware of the position. It had a 1v2 yesterday. He's only got 8 seconds to wait. Can he find Naza with this diffuser? In the smoke, he might be able to creep in. I don't know if the other angle's being watched, but there's no easy way forward. That Selma was opened up earlier, but the impact went out. And because of that, he's got no hole to walk in, but he's down the Twitch on the way out. Just a 1v1 inside the building, nullified 1. Joe's got 2 flashes. If Nade starts walking towards that diffuser, which he'll make a hell of a lot of noise, picking up that shield. Won't even need the secondary utility. Turns to the right, exposes the left. 9Z just 1 round away from a tie game.
I like the vision there from Nade. I think knowing whether he's down the Twitch or not, he has to expect that the other player's outside as well. Picks up the shield. If there's an angle that he can place the shield on that can give him a little pocket of safety to try and get the defuse, then great. Turned into quite a close game here, all things considered. I know we've had some fairly swingy sides where it's been, you know, a flawless for FURIA or a flawless for 9Z, a very quick rush round here and there. But 9Z are standing up to this team quite nicely at the moment. 5-4, getting the plant down in the previous round. And again, systematically dealing with those defenders. When you've got a clash and you've got an Azami on that top floor, it can be very difficult. But Toucan had such great presence of mind to go underneath and to deal with that Azami. It was basically the only angle that Felipox hadn't sorted out for himself, because you could see he was just trying to melt himself into that corner and get as far out of any visual that he could. Back down to the basement, though, for round 10, and this is going to be the acid test for 9Z. Can they attack this basement effectively? And given the amount of soak and time that FURIA are looking to drain here, you have got to wonder, they need to be quick. They need to have some really good early pre-placed drones, because it isn't going to be very easy for them once they've got those hatches open and they're trying to execute on site. Last time we saw a bit of a lack of things to throw down the hatch, for want of a better term. We have this time got the Bees of Grim, so at least they should be able to gain a little bit more information as to where some of these defenders are hiding.
I do want to highlight Tuku again real quick, because obviously you mentioned some of the particulars of that round, but even though he might be 6-1 after the rehost, might seem like he individually is carrying, he's just really been being put in great positions by his team, in positions to catch FURIA defenders flanking. And when you look at how that might get applied to a site like this, I mean, usually, he's obviously not playing the 417 now, but when we think of 417 ops, it's usually a lurk-up garage. I'm curious if he'll take that position or where they might station him, because catching these FURIA defenders roaming is really quite important. Unfortunately, Herds finds a Nitro early. That doesn't mean the round will go FURIA's way. They will have won the last two opening picks, and 9Z still find a way out in the round, still find a way, usually in a 2v1. Admittedly, has been with good performances from Tuku in a position where you can catch defenders rotating back, and right now there's only one upstairs just now spotted. Casey's already put down all of his utility. He can just kind of be a side quest, baiting 9Z into the map and wasting a lot of time, while even if they kill him, all they're getting is a 4v4.
Certainly not ideal to lose Grim, especially with KZ out there on the roam unchecked. The main fear in this round was the time, and if there's only just now drones going upstairs to try and find him, it ain't going to be very easy. A little Spider-Man action going on right now. KZ surely knows that that's where it could have come from, and eventually does get taken down there. Must have just had his backside sticking out. Jao's finished him off. Not horrendous, it isn't the worst, but if you've not dealt with the Vulcan packs, which I'm guessing you've not because you've not got a Twitch, you still need to get in and try and deal with those with some nades. There's a couple of nades remaining. You've got 4, so that's plenty. But find them and delete them. You've obviously got the fuse that's going to be able to get rid of some, but again, it's a little bit more RNG. You don't really know where those clusters are going to land. Still got to wait for the cluster charges to get off and start to get the hatches open. FURIA should be able to choke this one out on time. Especially now that they've brought that Warden just for that extra layer of security in being able to look through the Sense ROU. You can see the nades now getting sent out there, destined for those Vulcan packs. 40 seconds, I really don't like the chances right now. We've got players trained on hatches. Main stairs, potential for a bit of a walk down, but an FNAT at the bottom of it. None of this is going to be easy.
No. Especially, they spent 7 of their drones just hunting down KZ. They've had 3 drones since half the round remaining. 1 minute, 10 seconds have passed since then. If any defender is holding an off spot or holding an off angle, the likelihood that 9Z actually will have that information is very, very small. 10 seconds remaining. We're almost in the red zone, and all the utility's still going out. Big kill from Joe will knock down those Shumikas as Herds is fully out of toxic canisters, and the smoke will not propagate to cover the defuse, so 9Z can still hold on. They can get this case down, but that might even matter. They get all the kills anyway. With very little time remaining, very little room for error, all of FURIA fall to the guns of 9Z. The Argentinians come alive 3 in a row, all tied up.
It's a timeout angle.
Timeout moment.
Yeah, it's a timeout moment. There it is. Thank you, FURIA. Appreciate it. There is no way that FURIA should be losing that round.
No.
They didn't even get the breach open. The server wall was still fully reinforced. We had a player that ran through and tanked whatever fire it was that was on the floor, whatever smoke canister was just not clipping the right spot. We're in what, year 9 of this game, and we've still got people that can't throw smokes onto that default plant spot?
So hold on. I do want to say this. You know what I wonder? If you're Furia and you see server wall fully closed, what will most teams do there if the default plant spot is unavailable?
We go to the off plant spot.
Where is that?
Well, you can plant behind the bomb.
Around the bomb chassis is what I'm getting at, right? You could plant on that wall, or you can plant by the bomb chassis. Where was Herd smoking?
Bomb chassis?
Protect your bombs from
You smoke in the off plant spot. So, obviously, did Herds miss it? Yes. I do want to say, though, I do understand his logic, because I do think if you see server wall closed, it makes sense to assume a team would go to the off plant spot. But that is not what 9Z did. He did what you described, which was insane, but potentially brilliant.
Oh, genius. In the heat of the moment, they're never going to expect it. But even still, if the server door, if the server wall isn't open, how are they going to hold it in a post plant?
That's
At the point where the server wall is closed, just rotate upstairs.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You win from the hatch.
You got me on that one.
I don't know. I'm not a player. I'm not a player.
No, that's a fair point. See, look, there's a give and take. Some good, some bad.
Is it good that we have a tied game?
That's exactly what I literally was gonna say. Is it good that it's 5-5? Is it good that it's 5v4? I don't know. Tuku's just shot KZ in the bowels of Bank. Amaru is in the bowels of Bank and is now trying to flank JV92 on the stairs. You gotta be careful, JV. Sprinting around like that. What's the play here? What is he cooking?
I love this from Tuku. He has so many options right now. Real Lone Ranger, though. No one really knows where he is on the side of Furia, and he can just pop up at a very inopportune moment. Obviously, the site's open area, so there's multiple hatches that he could choose to go up if he wants to get into the site, and still, if he wants to get in on the periphery. Dow getting a kill on... Nothing's going traded here. These guys are just literally getting picked off, and then the player just gets back on rappel and hides for a couple of seconds. Like, yep, got my one.
And I mean, looking like FaZe against Loud yesterday, just giving up these random 1v1s with nothing being traded. I mean, what have 9Z done? Tuku was crouch walking into the building, got a freebie. That guy was on rappel. Herds is still sitting up here. They're probably like, surely nobody else is up here. That's Herds. And they know he's there. They have a Z-ping on him. Does he get the kill? No, but again, they know. Do Furia think they're playing a worse team? Do they think this team is worse than they actually are? Velopok's trying to retreat, but... Oh, Tuku, I was about to say, he's been holding that flank for a while, but Nade will at least find him. Nade on the backline. Velopok's the 2 backline players for Furia will try not to let this slip away. They might just find it. Full committing on this roam. Surely 9Z don't start letting it slip now. Surely they don't start giving up these 1v1s as the Monty spots the Legion walking back. The Malusi will look to drop. Quick 3v2, a little reset.
Still time here to try and make something happen. Especially on that Monty. Got the ability to gather a lot of information. Some priceless intel getting gathered there by Nitro. I don't know if Fleepox has got a single clue. And if it's going to be a Monty walking down the stairs, it's going to be even more difficult. He gets taken out as well. The floor's still getting ripped open. 20 seconds. Nade has to try and hold on. At this point, he wonders which way to look. Because you got somebody coming through Printer, someone threatening on the main door. It isn't going to be a good day for him. Finds one. The plant was being attempted. Gets the second, to be fair, but it's a direct trade. A lot of trades at the moment. Of course, the Monty still being alive there is the win condition. 9Z put himself onto map point.
I'm telling you, I think Fury, I think they're playing a worse team than they actually are. Like, you've just watched them. You've just watched them put 3 pretty well coordinated rounds together. Like, obviously they didn't open up the server wall, but they have a nice call to rotate around, plant in the default spot to try to big brain Furia. You just saw Felopox work himself into a difficult position on CEO, and Not only are they problem solving well by trying to use Selmas and nades, they then, when those don't work, they send a guy down below to floor bang you. You go back to the previous CEO round, where you guys are roaming all over the map, and what do? They got Tuku in the key spot to catch roamers falling back to, the open area site. 9Z are putting together good attacks. They are reading into your game plan. And so what do we do after 9Z have already shown they can take down solo roamers? Hey guys, what if we solo roam? What if we have one guy lurking in basement? What if we're just sitting in front of a bunch of soft walls and CEO? Surely they won't do it like they did it literally 3 rounds ago. What's your idea?
That we solo roam.
Defenders protect
I think it's a great plan.
being defused by attackers.
I mean,
I agree. I just don't think that. I don't know. FURIA just not giving 9Z the respect. Are they just expecting it's going to be? I mean, they played some really good attacking rounds at the start of the game. Like they looked fantastic. They've had some good clutches. They've had 2 rounds where they've clutched up 4 versus 2. On the face of it, take away those 2 clutch rounds, this game should already be over.
Yeah,
but we know that FURIA is a team that can clutch. So you've got to give it to them. It's going to happen. There are going to be occasions where you have to have a couple of players really lock in. I don't mind that. The fact that 9Z now are on that map point, is that going to change FURIA's mindset here? Are they going to all of a sudden just lock into a different gear and really start to try and tie this game up? Because, let's be honest, 9Z's basement attack, it's been very standard. They bring that fuse, they bring that book, they've got the bees this time. We didn't get to see what was destined for the Grim last time. This time there's a couple more adaptations. We've got the IQ and the Zephyr, so there's a little bit more going on there. But realistically, it hasn't changed too much. They're still relying on these nades or a direct line of sight to get rid of these Vulcan packs. It's not like they're bringing the Twitch. It's not like they're really trying to push the boat out here and be a little bit different. So for FURIA, and from their point of view, just play where you're strongest. Play behind that utility.
And you know what? Let's be fair. I think that's what they are doing right now. The only roams they're doing, the hatches are already opened inside of open area for them to quickly fall back. But this is where, again, 9Z are genuinely playing very well. They've read into that, and Joe has said, okay, I'm going to take that control away from you. And so, JV, this is what I mean. The first one, all right, that's fair. You take the 50-50. You know the buck is there. He's just wall-banged the other guy out printer window. That's a great pre-fire. That is an excellent pre-fire. He has still wall-banged a guy into a 3v5. And it's like, okay, the round's not over, but it very well could be just over now.
There's a chance. There's a round to be played. There's always a chance. I don't necessarily like the chance for 9Z right now. And I think that FURIA, knowing that and knowing the fact that they've got 2 picks, can just start to relax a little bit. They don't need to get too active. You can really just let the clock and the fact that there's only 3 attackers do the rest of this hard work right now. They've got some good flank gams in position. And I like the fact that they've got the back hatches open, the elevator hatches open. Got the 2 hatches in open area. So they've got plenty of option as to where they are going to try and drop. Not too much for the IQ to be doing here. Maybe the odd Grismot mine or the odd FNAT trap, but solo walk through garage potentially. Looks at least as though that's what Tuku's framing up for right now, and I can't think of a better gun to put on it. On the 9Z side of things, he's been lethal so far. If he can sneak through, I guess one of the saving graces is there's no one from FURIA dead, so it's unlikely that someone's watching a camera. We can see obviously through the overview that there is nobody going to be there. Pushing the pressure and maybe just flooding that player into his line of sight there in garage. It's going to be very one-dimensional all through those main stairs, but oh boy, KZ cleans 2, and that's got to be round.
Got to be round at that point. Tuku accidentally telegraphing himself a little bit with that nade. All right. Let him cook. He got his 10, but such low HP. Not much he can do, and I have to think FURIA, even though they could have afforded to rein the discipline in a little bit, even taking the vertical angle on this hatch, not peeking whatsoever in the late round, they should win this no problem. There it is. Overtime. First match of the day. 4 rounds in a row from 9Z, but FURIA bookend this half with 2 wins on lockers. And now we find ourselves in a best of 3 rounds with FURIA starting on the attack.
I can't really work out if that's good or bad for FURIA. Obviously, they had a better split on the attack. But 9Z weren't any slouches on the defense, and they actually really picked it up, winning their last 2 defensive rounds. if FURIA start this overtime the way that they started the game, then yeah, sure, but based off what we've seen, 9Z have just got better and better as this game has developed.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
See how the OT fares and if the sides do stay the same with that level of advantage or if it flips. Downstairs to the lock as we go. This was one that I don't really think that 9Z kind of got it right the first time, but looking at this lineup, it looks a lot better.
Yeah. That was my exact thought process, was the reason you lost that first round was not actually a strategic failing. It succeeded. You wanted to basically foreclose server as an option for FURIA, and you wasted so much time doing so. They got the opening kill with only 28 seconds remaining. Grenade was stuck in elevator with a diffuser. You didn't win the round, but that strat, that's a win. You denied a whole default win condition. Going back to that, just expect the other side. I know it's like simple, like just expect the other side, Forehead. I don't mean it like that, but now that you know how FURIA are gonna react, maybe just play a little more passive. Don't peek nade in that spot. You easily have a round win back in round 1. Easily from this strat.
Reloading.
FURIA not rushing to establish control of the building right now. Herds hanging out there inside a dirt tunnel. We've got Tuku playing on those blue stairs. Couple of drones working ahead. Top floor still getting cleared. Mirror window placed, and obviously the wall reinforced, so it will be difficult, but it looks as though there's some good info being exchanged for Herds here, but Will is certainly no slouch. Shot that explosive canister. He will dodge out of the way, but Herds opening it up. We haven't seen a solo walk through garage yet from FURIA.
But what a time for it to come out. Remember, last time we saw this, Casey was full clearing upstairs on Deimos back in round 1, and now he's solo clearing garage and they're lining up for him. We're throwing 3 bodies at this problem, and not a single one can hit a shot! Naza caught with a Zoto in hand. Joe down. Nitro, the first one, even finished off. And Hertz put Will the 1 HP early. And Fellapox won't let that prey slip away. Nigh flawless from FURIA with that trade towards the end. With a very nice solution to that early problem faced on basement.
Well, that's one time to use a little garage walk that you haven't done up until that point. I just can't believe how many shots Hertz missed as well as the players from 9Z. It was it was terrible. It was like a really bad high noon shootout. I think having the Zoto canister in the hand was obviously the nail in the coffin there, and he was able to pick that kill up. I mean, someone's walking through garage like that. I mean, yeah, I get peek it together, but peek it together when you're both ready. You have to hit that shot. You got to deal with it as quickly and as cleanly as possible. Yeah, a little on contact, you know. 9Z onto that attacking side again. FURIA have regained a lead here in this match. Overtime match point now for them. And again, they are choosing to go down to the basement. Now, weirdly, this is a site that 9Z have been successful on. But, and it's quite a big but, I don't think that they will get that same level of success again, because it was a pretty bold and ballsy play that got them that round. It was a rush through the door, the wall was still reinforced, and they were able to get a plant off in a spot that FURIA didn't believe for a million years anybody would attempt to do, because it was so silly, it was brilliant.
And then obviously you have the next time they defended, where JV92 wins a nice fight, and then with very good game sense is like, I'll pre-fire print a window as I'm falling down the hatch, and kills another one. Just for the montage, just put the fear of God in them. These basement rounds have not been pretty for 9Z. They've had really strong moments, but they have been very close with opportunities for FURIA to claw things back, and well, both times they did. This is the place that FURIA brought you to. I feel bad for 9Z. This game really could have been a regulation win, but FURIA, similar to yesterday, popping off in massive moments, and that's just something you can't always predict. Something, well, you can predict with FURIA. You can predict it'll happen. That does not mean you can beat it in the moment. Might be able to spot that Tachanka sitting inside of elevator. Nade very careful about the outside of the square hall, but again, the hatch open. When you're not running a castle in Azami, this is the play, isn't it, Ollie? You don't want to hold too hard. You want to sit right next to a hatch, shoot some drones, fall back. You don't want to get caught with your pants down.
Nice little soft hold.
A little soft hold. A little soft roam, soft extension.
It's like you're holding an ice cream, you know? Holding an ice cream in a cone. You can't death grip that thing. You just gotta going to gently hold it.
You're telling me.
Nice little trick there on the fuse clusters, getting shot out at the right time by Philippox. Saves himself for Zoto. Oh,
Ooh,
unlucky.
That's rough. That's unlucky.
That's not what you like to see. I don't think it's had too much bearing, though. I don't believe that one did explode a cluster, but I mean, maybe it saved him as Zoto for a little bit later on. How much good that will be, I'm not too sure. There are still 2 cluster charges left, and Herd's in a very tough position right now, especially given that server hatch is open. Trying to reinforce that with a couple of Grismot mines, sorry. Fire dissipates. It's only a matter of time until this shield rounds the corner and starts bearing him down.
Gotta be careful. He fell back at around a minute last time, but he's really holding on to this go around. He's got the Grismot, can block that shield, can take the fight. Somebody might be committing behind him, but no, it's the whole attack, that is. The whole attack surrounding him on server. He's wasted a lot of time, but 9Z with a key advantage. 5v4, they can start trading this down. The Vulcan pack will dissipate with about 10 seconds remaining, and Nade's got this lineup with the Shumikas. Good rotate from Will. Go to the off spot because Herds isn't playing that smoke. Because he doesn't have those toxic canisters, Nade's got to be ready. Is he rotating? Yes, he is. It's a game of adaptation and counter-adaptation, reaction from each team. And FURIA might be the ones to come ahead as we get to low time. It's a 5v3, but Will's got to get in there. He's got to put this diffuser down. His health's so low. Can they find the angle? They're trying their best to cover. They see him at the last second. 8-6 in a nail-biter performance. FURIA with 4 points on the weekend, and 9Z with a heartbreaking loss.